How's it going, everybody? It's your boy Davey on everything, and welcome back to the podcast. Today we got episode number 33. Back with me today are my boys from Raised by Comedy. We're laughing because I've done this intro 3 times now. And I fucked it up somehow with the technology somehow. So we got my boys Rowan and Devin here today with me. We had a great conversation last episode about Cybertrucks and DMT trips and whatever, so go check that one out. Today we're going to get into the topic of ancient civilizations, most specifically ancient Egypt, the buildings, the architecture, the conspiracy surrounding these feats of engineering and technology. So stay tuned for that. We're going to get into it.
And I don't want the world to see me, 'cause I don't think that they'd understand. When everything's made to be broken, I just want you to know who I am.
Alrighty, guys. So, like I said, I want to talk about, these amazing things that ancient people from 6,000 years ago, 5,000 years ago, they've managed to pull off. Things that they say would be even like super feats of engineering today. So they got these insane buildings like the pyramids that are perfectly level, square, positioned, you know what I mean? Like massive, I believe, limestone blocks.
Some of them weighing up to 70 tons.
Insane. And they didn't have engines, motors, or
that we know.
Electronics. Okay, see that's where we're going with this, right?
Do we have aliens on our hands? Do we have some super geniuses that had a crazy understanding on how to manipulate these materials or whatever? How do we think this happened?
Exactly.
What do you think? Devin, do you think it was aliens? What do you think it was? Do you think
these blocks were like true flat?
Yes.
Is it true we can't make anything?
No, I think we could.
That's true.
I think we could, man. We have CNC machines with like up to a millimeter.
Because I see this thing.
I can make it.
Like, what was that Rick and Morty episode?
Yeah, but then again, the whole the pyramid, the structure it was built on, it hasn't sunk at all. Like buildings that we make now, they sink.
Right.
You know what I mean? We take into the counter and everything like that with our building. They built it. There was no sinking.
Yes.
They did it perfectly. Like
I think
I don't think we can quite build it just like they did.
I think the argument would be like we don't, but if we really, really like if you pulled together the best people and you really tried to build something like that, you could.
Yeah, I think maybe it's possible. It's obviously possible.
I think the amazing thing is like how the fuck did they do it? Because they don't have computers. They didn't have the math. Well, again, this is all
speculation.
Let's just say like based on conventional history of what we know they had for technology and advancement in a textbook. It was
chisels and shit like that.
So how did they do it? So I don't know. I kind of have, based on stuff that I've watched, I kind of have my own theory about it. That's not my theory, but like my own thoughts on it.
Okay, shoot yours and I'll shoot mine.
So I don't know if you've watched anything from, I think it's Graham Hancock and his partner. I can't think of his name, but so there's specific archaeologists that specialize in Egypt, and they're called Egyptologists, right? And it's like a boys club type of thing. Like they're the ones that they're the only ones that can have their feet in this situation. Like they are the ones that are come up with the theories and all this stuff, right? And they don't like outsiders coming in and studying their material. So my thing is like, and what the theory that I'm kind of sold on is that, so they have evidence that the pyramids, if you look at like certain erosion on the side of the pyramids and the Sphinx, it's almost like there's like it's water, right? Yeah. And it's not the kind of thing that would be caused by. Now I'm totally butchering this probably because it's been a while since I've looked into this, but the wear on the buildings is kind of indication of like almost like it was underwater type of situation, right?
You think that's how they got wiped out? The Egyptians got wiped out by a flash flood type of thing?
So the Egyptians, the ancient Egyptians are, say, from like 4,000 BC era, right? 4,000 or 5,000 BC. The theory that I like actually places an even older civilization, say 12,000 years ago, that built these structures all over the world, not just in Egypt, and they themselves were totally erased off the map by, I think, some kind of flooding. and then after thousands of years of like basically regrouping and coming back together and rebuilding humanity, then we get what we know as ancient Egyptians. And they didn't have the technology to build these structures, but there was a civilization before them.
And they worshipped the work and worshipped that they recognized that there was obviously gods, that only gods were capable of building this.
Right? So they were advanced enough to do it, and they had technology advanced enough to do it. It was erased by natural causes, and then it was almost a reset in humanity. That's what I like to go by. What do you think about that?
I think that's cool.
But the only so I guess the bigger question is how come all these civilizations are being destroyed? And also,
where did this flash flood come from?
But like then you go to the
or an ice age or something.
Like okay, but there's always stories Atlantis.
Yeah.
That disappeared. So how come all these big civilizations are just getting wiped out? And does that mean we are going to have an apocalyptic event because history repeats itself?
Yeah, it could definitely happen. I think like if some really big natural event happened and then you go another 10,000 years to the next civilization, that's a lot of time. You know what I mean? Especially if it's like say an ice age or a giant flood, or it's, you know what I mean? Like that can do an insane amount of damage, and then 10,000 more years.
Yeah.
Like there'd be almost no evidence of it left, right?
No. I think it's possible that the pyramids of Egypt and a lot of other monolithic structures around the world could very well have been built by a previous life form. Could have been derived from this planet or not. I don't know.
Okay,
I think that even if another regrouping had taken over, I think whoever built them had an amazing understanding on technology and architecture that we don't have today.
Or what if?
Okay.
What if?
Go on.
Back all those years ago, the Egyptians, there was a civilization before them.
That's what he was saying.
And they were talking to themselves, and they're like, how did they have this technology?
Oh.
And they're like, fuck. So then they tried to, you know what I mean?
And it goes back how many more times?
And how many times does it go back?
Oh, that's different. Yeah.
Until, like, the creators of it, like, who created them.
Yeah, but they were, but maybe there was something before them that they were like, holy fuck. And maybe it just keeps going back. Like, how do you know? And down the history, the years, we've forgotten and we don't know what it is.
But obviously somebody created them. That's what
No, but maybe there's another structure that they're like...
that those were a recreation of?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So take what I'm saying and then go back one more.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And they're having the same conversation.
That's a wild way to... I like that. I like your thinking with that. Yeah, that could be something for sure.
I've been watching... Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I've been watching some videos on... some scientists speculate that, like, whoever made those structures around the globe had a crazy understanding on, like, sound and vibration and how it can affect physical matter, like a material. Okay. And some people say that they would play a certain frequency or a certain sound to the granite.
Float.
To the granite that would make the granite easier to carve into.
Okay.
Because people say, how would they be able to make these amazing, beautiful carvings out of some of the hardest materials on Earth they couldn't have done this without diamond cutters, all this shit, like diamond bits and everything like that. So they say that it's possible that if they played some certain frequency to it, maybe two of them at the same time at some certain angle, that it will weaken it enough to carve into it with a weaker material.
I like that. Actually, that's pretty cool.
And like there's some cool science behind the sound affecting physical stuff, because if you put like sand on like a plate and then play a sound to the plate, it will create a certain pattern according to what that sound is, and you change the sound, it will make a different pattern.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, like if you were sending it through water.
Like even water, it does it too. Like,
right,
but
I've
like
sand
that. On a plate.
Oh, sand. Sorry, I must have missed you saying that. Yeah, sand.
Sand on a plate. They'll play it, and the sand will create a sound, and then they'll change the sound, and they'll make a different pattern.
Okay.
But so they would, because it dances on the plate. But they Yeah, there's another video. There's like this castle in Florida. I forget what it's called, but it was this doctor, and same as Stonehenge. So they think that for large things of rock, they were able to have a frequency to make it float.
Okay.
And go on top of each
guide
other.
it to like either float enough to guide it over or something like
Right.
that, or like if they aimed it, it would, because when there's a sound wave, it like a certain sound waves can like overlap and trap stuff within that compressed air.
Okay.
So like some scientists speculate that they would have had an enlarged form of this somehow, where they would create a sound that like builds something or moves something heavy.
I think that's something. Don't you think we could duplicate that now though? Like
I don't think
they
so
have so
now,
much knowledge about
because like
all these things.
to create something that could produce a sound or frequency large enough in scale to move a 70-ton stone that might have been used to move a stone up perfectly in place at 300 feet in the air.
Sure.
Back then, we can't create that type of machine. So,
I think,
like, it's like I said, it's all conspiracy, but it makes you think for sure.
Because it makes you look at the world differently, because how we move things is with thrust and or like an engine, and that's how like if I want to push this table, I use a force, right?
Yeah.
And instead, but that's how we always think of things, or like a rocket. How do we get to space? We need a force,
a fuel,
you know what I mean? Like, but if you think of how to move things in a different sense, like using sound, we just don't think like that. We think of using an opposite force to move something.
An exchange of energy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe it's just the way our line of thinking is just this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like knowing that if that's a theory.
It's not even a theory. It is proven. Like I've seen videos, you can levitate little objects with sound. But like, what if some like our ancestors, our way ancient ancestors whoever built this shit, they had something that could levitate something not that was a couple grams in weight, like up and down and however they wanted, but they could do tons. Yeah. So like, and to think of what kind of sound would like if you were standing near it, like what kind of sound you'd be hearing.
No, for
while
sure.
This shit was being moved and created.
I think that's something we could do now.
I
don't think so.
I think
because
so.
they understand. They would the people now. We have that understanding about.
Dude, I think we can do it.
I think we could. The funding and all that jazz.
I just don't think they want us to know.
No. Yeah.
Because man, they have a fucking machine that can create earthquakes.
Yeah. What's that called again? What's that project called? It's in Antarctica, right?
Yeah, I forgot. But
yeah, the weather machine.
Once I heard that, and they created the Christchurch earthquake, I was like, holy fuck.
So is that something?
What else do they got there?
Is that because
that's a telescope or something? But then they,
the military got a hold of it. Yeah. So I always say like technologies that say so. This is a good example when they announced the stealth bomber, the United States. This is like in the 90s sometime. That's still amazing technology. The stealth bomber. I don't know if you've seen that.
Well,
the black
goes under the radar.
Yeah, basically they can fly over and you can't see it.
Yeah, SR-71.
Maybe. I'm not sure.
Elon Musk named his kid after it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, so that came out like 30 years ago now. So my thing is always whatever they're showing you, they're like 20 to 30 years ahead of that technology. The U.S.
like
government.
The iPhone, they had this 20 years ago.
Even farther ahead, I think the government has the ability. Like they have all these bases with the best minds in the world that are completely confidential. Mm-hmm. Imagine like how much farther ahead they are than the market.
Yeah.
So you see something like.
Well, dude, it's like, and then I saw like how McDonald's is gonna run ads in your sleep.
Yeah.
We were talking about sleeping.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and you can pull it up on YouTube or Google, but it's like, okay, so who invented that?
Yeah.
And how long have they been doing that to test it on people?
For sure.
And what have they implemented in people's brains?
Yeah, because you know what? I was watching this thing on what's his name? God damn it, Nikola Tesla. Mm-hmm. And he had this idea of the like endless energy field, which is like energy in the air. And he
took a lot of those ideas from ancient
ancient people and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he had this. I don't know. Like this is all like very conspiracy-ish, but he had this car that basically didn't need any kind of combustion because it had basically an antenna that could harness energy from the air and push the motor. And then you had a car with like you didn't need fuel, right? And again, like who knows like all how true all this stuff is and blah blah blah. But it's fun to talk about it. It's fun to think about, and we know that the government hides things, right?
Yeah. Well, they definitely killed Nikola Tesla. Nikola Tesla believed that the pyramids were a source of energy at one point. So like if you're in a certain radius.
Yep.
Of the pyramid with your light bulb, it'll just
turn on.
It's like that fucking Minecraft.
Yeah, like a beacon sort of.
Yeah.
Like he was sort of like it was like a beacon type of thing.
Right.
And he made a Nikola Tesla tower that did that same sort of thing where if you brought it close enough to the tower, it would just.
That's wild.
Light bulb would light up, and I think that when Nikola Tesla was killed, the government took a lot of his stuff and built off of it. Like, okay, what does this do? We're going to bring this to the lab. Yeah. We're going to see what this does. We're going to try to advance on that with more money and better funding. And that's the type of stuff that they will keep behind and not show us.
Yeah.
So that they're years in advance. And why would they release that energy stuff? Gas is a supply and demand.
Absolutely.
It creates money.
Yeah.
Creates jobs.
Yep.
All this, you know what I mean? You have to keep going and paying for something. And if you only got to get it once, then it's not something they want. You know
I agree.
But you know what's fucked? I was explaining this to the electricians, and they didn't have a clue. They looked at me, thought I was fucking nuts.
Well, yeah, you probably sound crazy.
But it's like, you guys deal with electricity, and you don't know fucking nothing about Thomas Edison, Nikola Tesla.
You mean about like that stuff? Yeah.
Yeah, like just how you wanted electricity to be like Wi-Fi, and you can just.
Oh, they don't give a fuck, right? They're just putting.
Well, I know. I just thought like they'd be more interested in. In history.
Well, that's like that's like talking to me about the
guy that
the aqueducts in Rome. I don't give a fuck how they used to transport water. I just do that for a job, right? I don't give a fuck how they used to shit.
Well, it's interesting though.
It is interesting, but as a job, I don't care. But yeah, Tesla is amazing because like even before, so when they were trying to introduce electricity to the country, United States, there was basically all they had at the time was DC power, right? So DC motors. We use AC power, right? High voltage power. They were using direct current, which is like batteries, right? So
AC's better though, right?
AC's better, and that's why we have it now. But the idea was, so it was what's his name? Thomas Edison, right?
He did DC.
And then Westinghouse, which is a big electrical company, they make motors and generators and blah blah blah. They were the AC guys.
No, I thought Tesla was AC.
Here's where it goes. Tesla invented. They didn't have any way of basically generating to like distributing AC power until he created the AC motor, Tesla. And that was the game changer for AC power.
Sure.
They needed the motor to generate the power. Because before that, it was really just more theory than anything. With DC power, you would have to have basically... The infrastructure was insane. The amount of infrastructure you needed to run DC power was ridiculous. In AC power, you can have a power plant with turbines or motors, engines, and then you can distribute it endlessly.
So how come the house though it goes from AC to DC? Like these outlets are DC.
No, these are 120 volt AC outlets.
They're not DC?
No, but your car battery, that's DC. That's a direct current motor.
So what's the difference? So how does it work?
Oh man, so.
AC kind of goes through
alternating current and then
alternating current basically like it's the biggest difference is like the amount of, so this is high voltage. DC is like, if you look at a battery, it's 12 volts, 9 volts, like you got these small currents, which is safer. And that's actually how they kind of almost killed AC power, was they made this propaganda that AC power was dangerous, you could die from it, right? That's how they almost killed it. But AC power, the limits are almost like, there's almost no limits as far as like, you can have, like I said, you can have a power plant here and feed an entire city, and all you have to have is the odd substation, basically, like transformers kind of thing. DC power, you kind of have to continue to, every so often you have to have like
a booster,
like almost like a range booster. You know what I mean? To keep it going constantly. It doesn't have the. I'm the wrong guy to ask this, but yeah, AC power is way more practical, but it was high voltage and it scared people because people were like DC power. When you touch a battery, you can touch the battery on this, it's not gonna hurt you, right?
Yeah.
But you put a fork in that receptacle and you're gonna get a shock, and that's why it almost killed it, because people were afraid like, oh, if I touch these lights, I'm gonna die, right?
Sure, it was propaganda.
Yeah, and no, AC power is more dangerous. Like if you were to like. This fridge or this stove runs on 220 high voltage. Grab onto a live 220 line and you're gonna feel it. Like it's not. And all these power lines are like 20,000 volts.
But the thing is
like you're dead in a touch.
But
you're done.
We need that. We need AC because you couldn't run it off of DC then.
Well, you
not
could.
the way we run it now. Though.
Not how we do. Not with the simplicity and like it's way
Efficiency,
cheaper. Yeah, it's more efficient, right? But it just that.
Imagine running fucking a giant
wait.
office
So
building off DC. You know, like it's not working.
I wonder if the batteries in Tesla are they DC?
Yeah, they have to be. Yeah, they
The
are.
car
100%.
is
Any battery is DC.
No, it's just funny though.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Because you did the AC.
Right, but you charge it with AC power. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But your phones, all this shit is DC, right? Any batteries are DC.
Also charged with AC though.
So we just really spun
as long
off
as that power plant is running, we have an unlimited source.
Yeah, you have like.
At that.
I mean, depends on the power plant, but yeah, like you can run it. Like, look at the nearest power plant here would be like Bruce Power, which is on the peninsula, 2.5 hours away.
Yeah.
Right, but you have electrical substations every so often, right?
How are they generating the electricity?
Nuclear.
Oh, okay.
And then the falls, obviously, you're part of the town. That's a hydroelectric dam, right? Turbines. Water runs through channels that pushes turbines that blah, blah, blah. Nuclear power up at the Bruce. Nuclear power is great.
Yeah.
It's just like people are afraid of it because they have these old reactors that when they break down, they don't have protocol. Like Japan, what happened in Japan, right?
Yeah,
they
or
had
Chernobyl.
Chernobyl. Now it's not such a thing. It's not such a big deal. They have containment. They have the technology is really good, but it's almost too late. People are kind of burned out by the idea of nuclear power because they had some bad experiences the last 100 years.
Do we think that it's possible that there's a far better energy source that could be worldwidely used than like petroleum or nuclear power? That is kind of like
the sun.
Do we think that there is like a more efficient and stronger power source that could be worldwidely used?
Mm-hmm.
The sun
over petroleum.
The sun sucks.
No, over petroleum.
I just feel like we just can't.
Power.
We just haven't. We just don't have a good way to.
How could we harness energy from the sun?
Well, that's what they said. Go back to the pyramids. That was supposed to take energy from the sun.
Yeah.
I think, but using like current technology, like technology that's
like
out there
solar,
now, solar is garbage.
Yeah, it's garbage. But there must be. I feel like it's the wind's garbage. But I feel like the energy the sun gets, there's more than just of what we see, and
there's a better way to harness the power. Is what you're saying? Yeah, probably there probably is. Yeah. But we also
that's a big ball of energy in the sky that's just gonna burn for another billions. You know, like
We also have
the unlimited power source.
We have nuclear fission too now, which was only a theory up until recently, but they actually have.
What's nuclear fission?
It's like an even more efficient version
of nuclear power.
They
split the atom.
They split the atom, and it creates this insane amount of heat, and that's what.
Yeah.
That's basically kind of what nuclear power is.
That was in.
I learned. That's what nuclear power was.
I was learning about that.
No, nuclear power is them smashing two particles together. Now they're splitting them.
Now they're splitting them, so it's an insane amount of energy, and the waste byproduct is like very, very little. So you don't have the nuclear waste that power plants right now have, and I think they're building one in Germany, because now they're like, all right, we can do this. This is like. Not some shit that in a book.
Yeah.
You know what? Talking about splitting atoms, I was like, how the fuck would you teleport if you could? And I feel like the only way you could do it, because how fast can an atom go?
Yeah. You
would dematerialize yourself and then have it rematerialize somewhere else. So you'd travel in atoms.
That's some crazy shit. You know how they really the most practical way of teleporting yourself is as of now would be like a wormhole, because if you were able to create two wormholes, right? If you could create wormholes, which I'm sure they can, basically what a
How would you
wormhole
put the-
does.
How would you put the coordinates in for that though?
Well,
You have
also
to have one on
hypothetically
each
speaking
side.
with wormholes,
I know,
if
but-
you're creating one wormhole, somewhere else, another part of it
Yeah.
opens somewhere.
Yeah,
'Cause
so-
if you go through it, like you don't have to open 2 doors.
Yeah, but you
Walk
would you
through
wouldn't
it,
want to end up somewhere that you
Somewhere
want to end
random,
up.
Yeah, you'd want to make
Yeah,
make
so
a second
how would
wormhole.
you-
The wormhole is like this. It's like almost like an invisible chamber, right? So like you would need another end. You would have to create 2 ends.
And somehow link
Yeah,
them.
but how would you do that?
They can do it like it's like some kind of insane vacuum.
But how would you? Okay, I'm gonna make a hole here, and I
Okay.
want it to go there.
Yeah,
How would you put the
direct it?
coordinates in? Or let's say in space. Oh, okay, we want to go there. How would you even do that?
I don't know. We're just
Because
a bunch of
that would
idiots,
be the
but-
way. Like fuck light speed travel. That would be the way to travel.
For sure, because it cuts the time. It's basically like folding. You know, they explain it. It's like, it's basically like if you got 2 points, you're like, if this 1 point here and 1 point here, this is a wormhole.
Well,
you bring the
is
2
a
points
wormhole
together.
just another word for a black hole?
No,
No.
it's different.
Black hole, yeah. It's different.
Black hole is like,
Black holes are 3D.
yeah, black holes like things get crazy inside of a black hole.
There was
What if-
another video. I was like, what if we're in a black hole right now?
What if? So hear me out. You know
Like
how
our
a white
universe
hole,
is a black hole.
out there, is spits shit out,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And a black hole sucks stuff in. What if a black hole is sort of like a wormhole and it's
Okay.
just sucking stuff in, and then its end
Oh.
is like somewhere in some other
Yeah.
spot in the universe, and it's shooting shit out.
That honestly, that actually could be how it works. I'm not sure.
Or-
That sounds like to me, just a normal guy. That sounds like it. That's how it works.
Little like a little
What would
almost like a
happen?
brain path, you know, like a neurons.
Yeah.
You got different brain paths and shit like that. What
Yeah.
if it's just like one of those little paths? In the
That could be how it
vastness of
works.
the
I'm not
universe?
sure, but it sounds cool to
Yeah,
me.
I don't know.
Sounds fucking
Something
cool.
like that.
Dude, that'd be sick.
Another cool question.
Hmm.
So we're inside of a solar system, which is in a galaxy,
Yeah.
and then there's billions and billions and infinite galaxies inside
Yeah.
this universe.
Okay.
If you could go outside the universe, do you think it would be like another universe holding a bunch of universes?
That's a good. That's
And
a good
if
question.
so, what's outside of that universe, and how far does it go?
Yeah.
What is it all, and how is it?
That's
created?
such a big question to ask for 20 more minutes, but so like there's like one theory that I kind of buy into is like, you know, there's like people ask like what was before the universe, right?
Yeah, what created
The Big
this?
Bang is the start, but what's before that, right?
Mhm.
It's something we try to apply like our physical logic, so physics, right?
Mhm.
We try to apply that into something that's almost non-physical.
Yeah, so
the
like, what if
physic-
you could exist without being inside of a universe?
That's the
It's kind of
hardest.
like what
it's
you're
an
saying,
ungrasped. Yeah, it's an
That's the void.
That's an
Yeah, but what if you don't need a universe to
That's-
exist?
But it's nothing.
That's what I mean. Like, so we always tell ourselves, well, there has to be another universe holding this universe, or like something there. What if there doesn't need to be
What
something
if?
there? to
Okay, so
exist?
if the Big Bang happened, right,
Yeah.
and it's expanding, it's
Mhm.
constantly.
Yeah.
It's an explosion.
What if you were able to travel to the end of that expansion, and it keeps going?
Like,
What
you
would
were
be-
able to-
What would be beyond that? Like
That's
you're
what,
right at the
that's
edge
what
of
I'm
the
saying.
universe.
It's something
Mhm.
that's not physical because everything we know is energy. It
Yeah.
came from that initial explosion,
dark matter.
Yeah.
right? So we're trying to like conceptualize something that is nothing.
Yeah. Well, maybe there is something though. Something must have created the explosion, especially one that vast.
So like there's this idea where it's like that
It's just uncomprehendable. you
it's
know?
almost like that it's an endless series of big bangs. So like at the end of this universe, it almost like collapses. And it's almost like this endless series of just like explosions, universe, explosion, universe, explosion, universe.
Yeah.
But,
So
yeah.
you think like sort of like how we have galaxies in our universe, so we're just like universes in another universe. Like,
I don't
like
know.
For that universe, it would be like universes
Dude,
of the galaxies
I watched this thing, and
type of thing.
he's pretty much explaining that see, everything's made to die, and eventually, because you know how there's no such thing as cold,
Right, yes.
it's just absence
The
of
absence
heat.
of heat, yeah.
Cold is the true temperature.
Yeah, it's the default.
Yeah.
Well, there's
So
no cold,
so
it's
so
just
there'll
absence of
be a
heat is-
time where the universe, like, there's no more heat. The whole universe will be cold. Because the heat will eventually, the stars will
Well-
die, and then there will be no life because everything will just be cold.
Yeah,
And I saw that, I was like, holy fuck.
Yeah. I
Talking
guess
in the sense of a simulation, what if the whole universe is like a fucking motherboard or like some computer chip and like it's just on right now, and like when it's off is when all the stars die and everything stops working and it's just off.
But
So-
then what would be?
that would mean that some kind of being got to the point where they could simulate a universe perfectly.
And we're almost at that point ourselves.
Yes.
So if we can get to there, then obviously it's possible, and obviously it's been done.
Yes.
Where did it start? Are
And-
we actually even at the base reality? You know what I mean?
And that could be an endless chain backwards too.
Yeah,
Well,
like
fuck.
forwards and backwards.
Because then, if we're in a simulation and we get to the point where we can make a simulation, we make a simulation, and then we create life. And in that simulation, they get to the point where they create a simulation.
And then it probably goes farther back
all the
from
way
where we're
back.
at, yeah.
Who knows what's at the end of
Yeah,
it?
it's like
Yeah.
Inception.
Yeah.
Imagine if at the end of your life you just wake up out of like some arcade game with your alien boys and you're like, how was that one? And you're
That
like,
would
holy
be-
fuck, that felt like fucking, dude, I got to 45 years this time. And they're like, oh, well, it was 5 minutes. You know what I mean? Like,
That would be so fucking. That's a crazy thing to think.
and
of.
like after 10 minutes of getting out of the thing, it's like you can remember it about as vividly as you remember your dreams.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's almost there, but it's not. Like this whole life that you live.
That's
You're like,
just-
that was nuts, and the game's called.
But
like,
then,
Live a Life.
wouldn't you always be questioning it? If say that's the thing, and then you pop out and you're, oh my god, wouldn't you always be thinking like, what if this is also a false reality?
Yeah, but
You'd
honestly
always be
though,
thinking like that.
it would probably get to the point where like you just don't give a shit, because I guess at that point you'd be so like
What does it matter?
enlightened by it that you're like, well, whatever I perceive is real. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
if I can feel and touch that, then that is currently real.
Yeah.
And like whatever I'm currently perceiving is real to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whether it's technically not created or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess.
It would just get to a point where it doesn't even matter.
Doesn't
You're
even
like,
matter.
oh, 20 simulations later, we're
Yeah.
in fucking base reality.
Yeah.
Who cares?
I think you would just
We'll
be
get
so
there one
fucked
day.
up at that point. Like you would
Yeah.
never know. Like we were talking about last time. Like when you get so deep into a hallucination, like you don't even know when you come out of it. You don't even know what's real or not.
Yeah.
You would be like that. I think
Yeah, sort of, I think.
you would just be like, this is so realistic that how do I know I'm not? And they would fuck with you,
roll
man.
with
It would, you would just roll with it. Yeah, you would have to. You'd have no
Whatever.
choice.
If I wake up and and all my entire life is a dream, like
I'm
cares?
not a like
I have a
a
whole
spiritual
nother life
person
that's
or a
cool too,
religious
I guess.
person by any means
Yeah.
at all. So I don't really buy into any of these. But I would, if I were to, I'd be more inclined to think like we talked about the universe being a physical thing, right?
yeah,
And beyond that, it would be non-physical, right?
yeah, like your entity or your
Right.
soul or something. Like
So yeah, I would think I would say maybe if there was something as a soul, it would be like some form of energy, that non-physical energy
Yeah.
that goes into a plane. At the end of it, goes into some plane that's non-physical, that's outside of the physical.
well, technically we are like literally cosmic energy manifested into a
But it's
physical body.
But
you know
it's
what I mean?
yeah, but every
So-
piece of it, all the carbon, all the everything is a physical thing that you can measure.
Yeah, you can't.
Everything
measure
is
your
measurable.
Thoughts, though. Really.
No,
you can't
that's-
measure those
Well,
thoughts getting created.
It's
and
like electrical impulses,
it is
right?
electric, but a cosmic energy. Like so that electrical impulse, electricity is energy, right? It is a certain type of energy.
with physical measurable properties.
And we're just creating that energy in
Yeah.
our brains always.
I just it's impossible to comprehend anything outside of our laws of
Yeah.
physics. It's really impossible. That's why people have God and gods, right?
Yeah.
It's like we need something to explain how all this happens because we can't. There's no way that we can comprehend how it works, right?
Yeah.
And maybe you find out one day, maybe you don't,
Yeah.
and nobody will ever know. I mean, maybe like a million years from now,
Yeah.
they will figure it out, but no one will ever know in our lifetime.
Yeah.
Like you can't. Your grandma's not gonna come back from the dead and be like, "Oh my God, you should have seen what's over. You should see what's
Yeah,
next."
no.
Crazy, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
then
And you're never gonna know until
but
you're
even
there
time,
yourself.
like time doesn't even exist.
No, time exists in
Time
this.
is something we made.
Time is
No.
no.
That's the measuring of time.
Time. That's a measurement of time in this place in the universe that we are.
Yes.
are.
Time and space
is a
exist.
subjective thing based on where you are in the universe and what size of a rock you're standing on.
Yeah, exactly.
That and how close you are to a black hole, how large your sun is. All this
Yes.
shit plays into how time passes
Gravity.
where you are.
But their concept of time and space are actual, almost physical thing. Like you can bend time.
Yeah.
Like you can. These things are affected by the physical too.
Yeah.
But the
why-
measurement of time is what you're.
So some scientists have said that if two people were to buy a watch at the exact same time,
Yeah.
and then they lived their lives. At the end, they would both have different times depending on what they did. Like
Yeah.
maybe you're traveling fast in an airplane more than this person.
Yeah.
Different stuff like that, depending on where you are, how fast you're going, and
The
all
watches
that
would
jazz.
say different times.
Would say it might be a couple seconds,
like a fraction of a
or
second.
or a fraction of a second.
Yeah.
But it would be different. It wouldn't be the same because
Yeah.
your place in the universe has changed differently than that person's.
Yeah,
And
time
that does affect time slightly.
Time is another thing that's like almost incomprehensible.
Yeah, it can get pretty
But time
incomprehensible.
is only a thing where there's mass.
Which is the entire universe.
Yeah.
But like, let's say we left this solar system.
Yeah.
We're just floating.
Yeah, we're still going through time. You're still
Yeah,
going to age,
but time,
and then if we come back to
but
Earth,
time
we'll still
only
have been
makes
gone a
sense.
certain amount.
Like Pluto.
Mhm.
I think it's like 268 Earth years for one.
That's just rotations around the sun, though.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying.
That's different than what we're talking
But
about.
if there's no rotations around the sun, then do you age faster or slower?
See, what you're talking about and what
Still
you're
age
trying
the
to
same.
describe are different things. You're talking about the recording of time. We're talking
yeah.
about time as like as its own thing. You know what I mean?
Like that's how we measure and perceive time to make it comprehensible for humans. So that gives you a comprehension.
Yeah, I know
on
that.
what,
But what I'm saying is, let's say the mother and the daughter with the watch thing,
Yeah.
and the mother stays here on Earth,
Yeah.
and the daughter goes
It would
off
be
into
different.
the stars.
It would
But
be far
how
different.
much different?
It depends on where you go in the cosmos.
But I'm just saying, because if you're not in a solar system, you're not around a mass, would you be going slower?
I think you'd age slower than the person who is on the mass.
Have you seen
Experience.
Interstellar?
Yeah,
That movie describes it pretty good, I
Yeah.
think.
it's complicated.
Yeah,
It's
Watch-
very
watch
complicated.
Interstellar,
We're
guys.
too dumb. We're too dumb to describe it. That's the problem.
Yeah.
But watch Interstellar if you want to know, because
it is good.
when you watch it, you'll get it.
I didn't. No, the ending I thought didn't make sense.
The ending didn't make sense. How
Time was a fourth dimension.
because he was
And
inside.
then, how do you get out?
They got him out of there, brother.
How?
Because by
Hollywood,
the
baby.
time,
How do you get out of the
okay,
black hole?
so he no, because by the time that he was so far, they were so much farther in the future than he was, right?
Yeah.
Earth, that by the time that they figured out his thing, where he was like telling them how to fix it,
Yeah.
they were so farther ahead of him that they had the technology to get him out of there. You know what I mean? Like they keep progressing. He'd aged, say, like a couple years. They'd aged 50, 60 years. You know what I mean? So at that point, they figured out how that time and space, the whole thing worked, and the black hole and the time warping and all that shit, Star Trek shit. They figured it out, bro. They had enough time to do it. He told them how to do it. No, don't ask me. Don't ask us, man. I'm gonna Google it and we're gonna talk about it next time. But it's some crazy shit.
It is.
It's some crazy shit. We can't even be. At some point, if I like dive into it enough for a couple days, I can better talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's been so long since I've looked into it, so it's kind of hard to be like,
Yeah.
I know for certain what I'm talking about. Okay, so we're gonna get past that because we're gonna do our 2Ds duking it out. 2Ds duking it out. Okay, guys. Today's 2Ds duking it out, we got Would You Rather. We're gonna do another time period one because you guys seem to like this. We're gonna pick even more dramatic, different periods of time. Not even really different periods of time, but more 3 different civilizations. So, first one, because we are on the topic, we're gonna go with the ancient Egyptians. Say what's at their like peak, their prime of their dynasty, right?
Yeah.
Then we're gonna go with medieval times, so castles and
Like Game of Thrones
Crusades
type
and
vibe.
Black Plague and all that stuff. And then we're gonna go with the American natives or Canadian natives. People that crossed the Bering Strait, came to North America.
Villages,
right?
bows and
No,
arrows,
yeah,
yeah.
bows and arrows.
Is that what we're going with?
Those are the 3. You
Yeah,
don't like
those are
them?
the
No. But no, is that how they crossed the Bering Strait?
I mean, that's the most like prominent theory of it.
So they
yeah.
were Russian.
No, they would have been like Southeast
Mexican.
Asian.
Oh
Asian.
no, that would
The Bering Strait is Alaska to
Right,
Russia.
right.
Yeah,
So-
but like Mongolian.
Yeah, Mongolian.
That's why they all look like that. And that makes sense.
Yeah. see,
Anyway.
you got it.
No, that makes sense.
No,
Okay.
he's right. He's
Because
right.
it was frozen, and then they're like,
oh, we can walk and go across, and then
Yeah.
they came to Canada and they went,
And
and
then
then
they
they went
got
all the way
fucked
down
over.
to South America.
Yeah.
Holy fuck.
Those are
that's
the
a lot
same
of
people.
walking.
And
Anyway.
but that's actually another topic we should talk about later, not this episode, but
Yeah.
because that's a cool one. But anyways, so what are you going with?
I'm gonna go with, I think, medieval times.
Medieval
I think
times?
that whole
I'm going
thing
with
would be pretty
Egypt.
cool.
Ancient
You
Egypt?
going
Okay.
Egypt.
What do you,
I was gonna pick Native Americans anyway, so
oh, that works out then.
that's good. That was the one I was going for.
So why? Why are we picking this?
Okay, we're gonna each state a small, or like a reason why, state our case and a reason why, and then we can argue about it. So
Okay.
I'm gonna choose the Native Americans. First of all, United States, Canada, beautiful, clean, untouched by any other civilizations. You haven't had any conquering yet.
Yeah.
Nobody's influenced you at all.
It's just wild.
You know, you've had some Vikings here and there, but mostly untouched, and you have your own culture, and
Yeah.
you're just living.
You're the top dog.
And you don't worry about borders. You're not worried about. There's invasions from other natives, but you're not worried about another country coming in and burning down your village.
Yeah. Family's close and intimate.
You know, obviously natives are gonna fight amongst each other, but I think it's probably relatively peaceful. It's definitely cleaner than the medieval times. You don't have
Yeah.
this condensed population shitting out their windows into the streets.
Yeah.
So poor
Wait,
choice.
but are they actually? So your time period though. But see now we all fuck this. The whole subject about this isn't your country. I'm native. But if they fucking walked across from China, then they're not fucking from here either.
No, but the argument is we're not talking about that. But I'm gonna tell you the argument is they were the first people on the land.
Okay.
But there is theories and there is some literature that would say otherwise. But we're not gonna get into that today.
Okay.
But yeah, the ongoing thing is they were the first people to enter that land, and that's why they're the natives to that land.
Okay.
But yeah, it was empty at one time, but the whole world was.
Yeah.
But
true.
there's other humanoids that might have existed as well, right, on the North American continent and otherwise.
Yeah.
But say the ongoing theory, like the most prominent theory is everyone, humanity was born in Africa and migrated across the globe.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's unrelated to this. This is
So-
getting into the details. So you're gonna go with the medieval times.
I'm gonna go with medieval times.
Why?
Um.
Yeah, he can't even think of one.
Yeah, I don't
This
know.
guy.
I guess I just kind of thought the time era was cool with like the whole, like empires and kings and
Mm-hmm.
queens and royal hierarchies and stuff like that. Swords and cool armor suits and
Dragons.
So let's
like-
assume you're just a normal
Not
person
dragons, but
living
like-
in medieval times, and I'm a normal person living in the native lands, and you're a normal person living in ancient Egypt. Okay.
Yeah, maybe I got a cart. I'm selling food. Got the horse. Maybe I'm a knight. You know what I mean?
You could potentially be a
Maybe
knight.
I'm the king's guard. Like I don't know. I just feel like
You could
it's
be
all pretty
a
cool.
medieval
you know what I mean?
peasant that's a serf that works for
Yeah.
free for
I
a
could be that
nobleman.
too.
So
You know
for
what I
me, I'd be in Egypt, right? There'd
Yeah.
be the fucking pyramids and shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I would be one of those weary travelers going through the desert trying to find that oasis.
So you're
know?
trying to find the next sip of
The
water.
oasis of the sands. Like I'm gonna try and find that lush green.
Okay.
In
Or you
nowhere.
could be one of the gods in the pyramids. You could be the guy that cuts people's heads off for the
No.
sacrifices and stuff.
No, I want
You
to
could be the
no.
guy getting
You
sacrificed.
don't get to choose
You don't
because
know, yeah.
you just get spawned.
That's what I mean. So you don't like at least if I'm a good boy in medieval times, like I'm not getting my head chopped off.
Well,
Like,
I would try
For you,
to-
it's like they're sacrificing people for the rain gods. Like
That's the thing. There might
I'd
I don't
try
know
to
how much
bang Cleopatra.
you don't have a chance of banging Cleopatra. And she's Greek and she's beautiful and she hates you because you're just a normal guy building
loves
stone
cats.
structures and cutting trees down in Africa somewhere. You have to deal with all kinds of dirty ass motherfuckers, rats and plague, and some king is shitting on you, and fuck
Yeah.
you for all that bullshit. I'm just chilling. I'm hunting every day, picking berries
for my
I got,
family.
I got a
and-
cute wife. And I got a couple kids, and we're
Yeah.
we're smoking tobacco and
What would
hanging
your
out.
spirit
Yeah.
animal be?
My spirit animal would be
It'd have to be like a wolf. If you were a
No.
native, it's a wolf, right?
wolf is the best one. I don't know if I would be bestowed with that. I would probably
What about
be like
bear?
I don't know. I would be some dumb shit. I would be like a mouse or something. Like that would be mine. They wouldn't give me something cool. They'd be like, Dave, you're Dave the mouse,
Yeah.
right? But I don't know. You're not even gonna fight for medieval times, eh? You're not gonna argue why it's the best.
I'm not saying it's the best. I think it'd just be an interesting era to live in.
It would be cool because
like if I'm like Rick and Morty and could just like fucking dip with a portal gun at any time, I think I'd pick to go to.
I like
medieval
mine
times.
because it's warm.
Yeah, you got heat, and you're chilling.
Yeah, that's
like
true. It's
I
pretty
think
nice
I think
in
the workers in ancient Egypt were treated pretty well, right?
I feel like there's
or they weren't.
probably
It's like
wasn't a lot of food.
Picture this, right? If people did build it and
Yeah.
like the pyramid was off by like a
And-
fucking inch
yeah.
at a time,
And
Dead.
listen-
dead, get motherfucker.
Yeah,
Like-
but you guys are just fucking around with your castles and your spirit animal. I would know how the pyramids were made.
Oh.
I would.
Oh, that's
I would
good.
have
That's
that
insightful.
knowledge.
Fuck you for that.
and
Yeah.
and your people
Fucking
would have.
smoke your tobacco. I have this piece of architecture that I know the secrets.
What is cool about the Egyptians too is they had a knowledge on how they knew how big the Earth was and how far it was away from the sun. They knew
Yeah.
how to line up these buildings with stars, and I just think that's insane.
pretty cool. It's
They
pretty
obviously had some insane knowledge.
Here's the thing with that. You would maybe you start the pyramids, but you ain't living long enough to see them finished, brother. Right?
That's true.
It takes a long fucking time to build that
Yeah.
building.
Unless
At
Unless
least you know
what?
why they're getting
Unless-
built though.
unless they use sound. And
Oh, now you're dipping into the conspiracy side of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if they had a fucking team of alien spaceships producing these sounds, moving this shit,
But-
cutting these slabs,
But then
quick
I will
times,
say,
you
like
know?
your time, like you got Shakespeare.
And
That was
Da
like the
Vinci,
Renaissance, no?
You know,
That was medieval times.
I don't think it was medieval times. That was more like the Renaissance period. Like all the art was coming and getting made in instruments.
yeah,
He
that's
has like
Da Vinci's
he has
time,
some
yeah.
guy that's like
Oh,
playing
so
like
it-
about singing about war and shit.
So he's like, we're
Mhm.
going for him as like you're like the first Assassin's Creed.
Like Game of
No,
Thrones.
that's even
like Game of
that's even
Thrones
I
type
think
of-
farther ahead. I think.
Time
Like
to
I'm
go.
thinking of more like a Game of Thrones type of era.
Like he's going to fight. He's like fighting crazy wars like miles away for some king.
like
Where they
all
all
cities that were
stand-
built
it's
were
just
built around the giant
just-
castle. You know, like
Yeah,
But the armies, it's like the Hobbit type shit.
yeah.
you're just a bunch of guys
Lord,
that
of,
got-
like Lord of the Rings, like Game of the Thrones, shit like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think So like, say you were living in like Great Britain, you would be fighting like Muslims in the Crusades for
And the
God,
French.
for God.
Persians.
You know what I mean? You'd be like for the I don't know, for the Catholics. Like you would be like fighting for religion and shit. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I don't want to do that.
That's
Yeah.
true.
What would I be fighting for?
You would just be chilling, man. You're just worried about building like this like cool spot. I give
And
you
then
that.
guys
You
get
got a good
wiped.
one for that.
You don't know when you get wiped either. You could be wiped any like if the pyramids are already built, you're like, okay, sometime from now,
I'd probably
and
get eaten by
here,
a crocodile.
we're gonna get wiped.
I think the
somewhere.
idea is like with the ancient Egyptians, like kind of the Greeks kind of took over that shit. Like they kind of killed the
Well,
ancient
no,
Egyptian.
The Romans.
Maybe the Romans.
Yeah,
Yeah,
'cause,
the Romans. The Greeks and the Egyptians were
what's his
kind
name?
of
Caesar was
boys.
banging Cleopatra.
Caesar? No, it was Mark Antony, wasn't it?
What? No, Caesar was fucking
Oh,
Cleopatra.
was it Caesar?
And then his brother Brutus was fucking her.
Oh yeah, a bunch of people were fucking her. Eh?
She was
She's
being
getting
a whore.
around
That's
at
why
that
I
time.
was like, oh, man, I'm not doing
Yeah, dude.
Cleopatra
No.
low-key belonged to the streets. Like,
Oh my god. Yeah, she was like Greek Macedonian or something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That'd be. I think I'll give you with mine at least. Like I'm not worried about nothing. I'm not trying to be like the greatest civilization of all time. I don't even worry about land ownership.
You're just doing smoke signals.
I'm fucking in a
Smoking
sweat.
tobacco.
I'm sweating in that one of those
Fishing.
hot box, whatever they call them, sweat lodges, hunting deer and doing all kinds of shit like
yeah,
that.
you're
I'm
working
chilling,
with the
man.
guys to
Wait,
build
wait,
new
but
tents
I-
and shit like that.
but
out of the
where-
sticks and
Where you're Native American. Where would like what?
yeah,
what
like
area?
when winter strikes, is it cold?
No, no.
Like
I would probably pick somewhere like more south. You don't get to if I could choose, I'd pick maybe a tribe a little more south.
Well, it's kind of all over. So you
It's the whole continent and South America. Like those people ended up walking down to Mexico and Peru, and those are the same people, right? So if I was in like the Aztecs, I'd be throwing people down. You might be the guy that's thrown down the stairs and sacrificed to a god. Human sacrifices were big in that culture, right?
You know what's fucked if you think about it? Somewhere we, like us three, are related.
Yeah, many links ago, yeah.
Because we all
I think
came-
you have a little more Neanderthal in you than I do.
keep going up the chain, like
We're like, yeah, for sure, we are. If you go back, like, to humanity's maybe 100 to 200,000 years old, So yeah, like 150,000 years ago, we have a couple cousins or something. Right?
Yeah, we do.
Maybe even closer in a link. Like, where's your family from? Like, where's your ancestors from?
So my mom's sides, they're all from England.
Yeah, same here. So we probably, maybe we knew each other. Our cousins knew each other or something. I'm assuming you're some kind of white European culture. You're more maybe Swedish or something, Polish.
Yeah, I don't know.
You should figure that out.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, you know,
at some point,
keep going up. Like, do we believe in that Adam and Eve?
No, that's obviously a story, man. You can't produce an entire 8 billion people from 2. It's impossible.
But how did it start then? Let's just try and think of how it started.
Okay.
Aliens
how did
modified.
First humans start fucking, and now we're at 8 billion. How did that start?
So
how do you get the 1? That's
mutations, man.
Here.
Mutations.
Alien modified our genes.
So what? We were monkeys?
Yeah.
We weren't monkeys. We were
something.
We were like, I'm thinking
like a caveman, Neanderthal type monkey type thing. And then here's what I predict. I predict aliens came, genetically modified our DNA to create the first 2 humans, which were Adam and Eve.
Okay. Are you a religious guy?
No.
Okay.
But as we know it, and as far as the giant game of telephone that we know as the Bible goes, that these 2 people existed. But I'm thinking, what if these 2 first people were the first 2 people that were given this consciousness?
Okay, so let's assume that's based on assuming that
the consciousness came from the heavens.
If we're giving the Bible some credibility
for space,
right? So if we're giving that story credibility, say we're saying it's true, that's how you think it would have went down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but but what I don't understand, you say mutations.
Let me
but
preface something.
For us, how did 2 people?
It's not just 2.
It's like what came first, the chicken or the egg?
So okay, this is how it works.
That's what I don't.
Single cell organisms.
Mm-hmm.
Millions of years later, they pop out of the fucking swamp, right? Then they got legs. This is how it works, right? So then at some point along the line, we have Homo erectus, Homo sapiens, Neanderthal. We have 50 different humanoid.
But there is a gap between the. There is a gap between one of the last ones, like the Homo whatever, and us Homo now sapiens. That they don't understand how that evolution happened so quickly.
Okay,
you know
so you're saying
so saying it took so long for us to get here, and then randomly we jumped to like here.
Right. So we're saying like, say, we went from not having tools to
bam,
now we figured how to make tools, and now we domesticated animals, and now we got agriculture. Yeah, there's a bunch of theories.
So whether it was aliens genetically modifying us, whether it's like the stoned ape theory with
stoned ape theory, I kind of like that one.
That one's a pretty good one. I'm not sure, but I think something did happen. Like something did happen.
There's like another sect of like chimpanzees called
baboon.
What?
Baboon.
No, that's a baboons. There's like a chimpanzee that's isolated, right, from other chimpanzees, and their level of intelligence is like a notch up. So they're kind of almost, they're not human, but they're not chimps. They have the ability to like use like pseudo use tools and stand differently, and they're like this weird. Not humans, but not chimps, and they're like a link in between, but not the middle. I wouldn't say they're middle. They're not right in the middle, but they're like,
yeah.
He stepped up a little bit.
Sounds like Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, it's kind of like that, right? But so that's, I guess that is like the real argument is like, what was the deciding factor between being on all fours, climbing in trees, to building tools?
But that's like, why did they not evolve?
They just most of them end up just dying off, right? Like if you look at Neanderthals,
chimpanzees now, how come they're so far behind us?
Yeah, they just didn't. Different. Whatever. Exactly. Yeah, that's a question I don't have an answer to. They didn't have the need. I think a lot of it is adaptation and a lot of it's mutation. So like blue eyes are a mutation, white skin is a mutation.
Mm-hmm. Is it?
Yeah, because assuming everyone had dark skin, we all lived in Africa, right? People start to migrate north. Right, you're not getting vitamin D and iron are.
You begin to lose the reason to have all that pigmentation to block out the sun.
So then you just became. The blue eyes come from?
That's just a straight up a mutation, man. Like this is not. These beautiful blue eyes I have, That's a mutation. But say white skin, right? If you start going up north, there's no sunlight. You're not getting vitamin D. This is like almost an adaptation to that. We can absorb the sun easier, right?
Mm-hmm.
We need that nourishment, right?
It's like gingers too.
Gingers, yeah, and like look where gingers are.
Or albinos.
Albinos that's definitely a mutation.
That's a more rare one.
Yeah. Right. So, and then like like you have Middle Eastern people, and this could all be my own bullshit. So don't fucking quote me on this, but so we got black people, white people. You've got Middle Eastern people that are kind of brownish, right?
Yeah.
I think the idea is like white, and they're in the Middle East, right?
Mm-hmm.
Between Europe and Africa. I think the idea is that's more of like an interbreeding. So
middle ground there.
The middle ground. Yeah. So you got white people that came up in Europe. They moved up there, whatever, blah blah blah.
And then got super white over the years.
They got white as fuck, like us. And then you got Middle Eastern people who are kind of in the middle, right? I think that's kind of the mix of the two. But again, this could be complete bullshit.
Yeah, you
like,
racist
Google
fucker,
it.
you racist
Yeah.
Okay. then,
yeah.
So then are Asians mutated?
I don't know about Asians, like Oriental people.
Yeah.
I don't know what the theory is there. You'd have to Google that
There's
one.
definitely some other theory that I wouldn't.
There's something.
Because something changed.
Yeah.
Something changed.
Yeah, something else happened. We don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know any of this. I'm gonna disclaimer. We don't know anything.
Yeah.
This is some shit I picked up off the internet over the last 10 years. Like
Yeah.
a little bit of that, a little bit of that,
Yeah.
a little bit of that.
Yeah, we're just some
Putting it
idiot
all-
podcasters,
We're not.
pieces
Yeah,
of
we're just a
media
bunch of
knowledge
guys.
together.
Yeah, and like we could all be wrong about this. So before you go and talk shit on us, we're telling you, don't take any of this serious, because it's all a bunch of nonsense. Like we're idiots. So, but yeah,
I'm a genius, but
except for Devontae, we call him now. We call him Devontae now at work.
yeah. I said Devondre.
It's not as cool.
Nah, that's
Yeah, it's
Devontae.
like Andre, but Devondre. Because you know what, this is another thing.
Yeah.
Black families,
Mm-hmm.
they take names,
Yeah.
put a D on it,
Yeah.
and change the whole fucking name. It's like Wayne, Dwayne.
Okay, that's one. Pick
No.
another one.
That's one.
there's-
Pick another one. One more.
There's
Give us-
one
give me
more.
There's like
DeAndre. Andre.
Andre. No, there's.
I've heard
another.
DeAndre or like Dwight or something like.
Dwight is a white ass name. I
Yeah.
think. White.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Because then you're saying that
there's
a name
more.
white.
There's
the one
more.
that
They
brought it
just
up.
they just fucking take names, and they'll just add some shit.
They're trying to do their own thing, man.
But with they'll just add a letter.
But you know what? They wouldn't like if they're in Africa. They wouldn't be called John, right? We gave them some shitty names. They don't even want them.
I'd
And
say
they're
if anything, our names can be like kind of like John.
John and David,
Like
boring ass names that
David,
we've been using for
Mike,
2 million years.
Like Jim.
Let's
There's
get
all
some
these,
new names, you
there's
know?
all these
Okay.
weird
And
basic
then
bitch names,
there's
you know?
another one, right? Like there's Asian people I'll see, and they're super Asian, dude, thick accent, right?
Gerald.
And he'll be like, oh, I'm Phil.
Yeah, that's
And
not.
it's like,
That's
no.
not their government name.
Yeah.
But why did they pick Phil?
Because
They'll just
it's like
pick
a
some-
nice normal name that fits in with this
Yeah.
country. I don't
Like
fucking
that's
know.
not your name.
We know it's not your name, but we can't pronounce a lot. It's not in our vocabulary to pronounce these.
You know
these
what?
names.
And like, I will. Indian people have some gnarly names.
They have
like,
some crazy names, but it's
Like,
crazy.
I'm
to
not
us.
shitting on them in any way, but
No.
like, fuck, dude, I would not like
It's hard
to
to
have my
pronounce
name
them.
as like something like.
It's too many letters.
But like to them,
I
it's
don't know.
completely normal.
It's completely normal, and that's definitely just me being brought up in the Western Hemisphere. But
But
Yeah.
why
Some crazy names, for
why is
sure.
India so obsessed with the EE?
I don't know.
what do you
Like, man, they love the deeps.
Yeah,
like
deeps
they'll
and
just
Gs.
they just make it up like desk deep,
Desk
charity.
deep.
You know,
Yeah.
like they just start.
mean?
It's kind of with
Yeah.
it's kind of with when they start just putting letters on. They like
Who's the guy that worked?
Sanjeev.
With that OMP?
Sanjeev, yeah, Gagandeep.
Deep, yeah. Parpinder.
There was
It's a
another
bad
one,
one,
Ramen
Gagan
Deep.
Deep.
Yeah.
Ramen Deep.
Yeah,
It's like
they love the deeps, man.
They
And there's a
love it.
billion of them, so they're just trying to make new names, I think, too. But then there's only so many ways you can go with it.
Yeah.
Alrighty, guys. So we're gonna go ahead and wrap this episode up here. We had a lot of fun with this conversation. Check out our sponsor. You guys gotta remind me to plug the sponsor, or no one's ever gonna go to my website. We're never gonna sell anything.
You're not supposed to say it. You're supposed to be like, oh.
You're too cool for
Check out brokenglasssupply.ca.
He totally does.
Because I'm trying to feed my kids. No, I'm allowed to. I gotta disclose if I own it, actually.
Oh, do you?
Yeah. You have to. Or that's like some shit. Like if people actually like, if I had some influence over people and I told them to go like buy some bullshit cryptocurrency and then I pump and dump it, that's unethical.
One more thing before you close it.
Okay, go.
Because this is fucked up too, and we were in the mall earlier. Okay, so when you're growing up, fucking Santa, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your parents would be like, "Hey, go to bed, otherwise Santa won't come. You can't look at him."
Yeah.
You know, kind of like the Tooth Fairy. Oh, don't look at them. You got to be sleeping. And
Yep.
So with that logic,
Mm-hmm.
as a kid, you're like, "Oh yeah, I can't see Santa on Christmas Eve," but you can go see him at your local fucking mall.
You get to see him once.
It doesn't even make any sense.
I know.
Santa's just there all day.
What?
Why is he in the goddamn
I
workshop?
was also thinking, I don't know, like, I guess someone's got to do it, but, like, what weird, like, you got to be a weird guy to just be some random old dude, and, like, I'm going to apply as the Santa to have some kids come sit on my lap.
Get on the podcast.
A Santa mall Santa?
Mall
Yeah, like, what are you
I
thinking?
can
Like,
get
there's
that.
no
You
other
get to pay
jobs that you, like, I don't know, like,
I
something
think
else?
it's either really weird or super wholesome. Like, there's probably weirdos doing it, but then there's some old guys
and I
that
was
just
thinking,
want to
like,
see
maybe
a kid
that's
smile.
even fucked of me to, like, think, even, but, like...
That's just how the way people think now.
But, like, yeah.
There's
like,
weirdos out there.
Yeah.
There's weirdos out there, and you got some random old dude that you're gonna go have your little kid sit on his
time.
lap, and, like, he's gonna, you
Yeah.
know what I mean?
I
It's a
wonder how
weird
much
thing.
they make.
I don't know, like $20.
I'm
I think that's
hoping-
hourly.
It's like a few
Definitely
hours you
it's
gotta
hourly,
sit there.
Yeah, he sits there for a few hours. Like I don't know. I just feel like there's better jobs to do. Like,
But-
you know
Well,
what I mean?
it's retirees too.
It's like old guys with real beards now most of the time.
Yeah.
They don't have that fake shit anymore.
No.
Yeah.
It's like an old guy and he doesn't have grandkids or something. He just wants to make kids smile.
Yeah.
Or it's weirdos that like to
He's a
feel.
pedophile.
They like to have.
Or it's
like
weirdos, and like I didn't
Yeah.
even want to like say it to like be like, oh, how could you even think that? You're fucked. Like, but
No,
I don't know,
it's
man. Like
it's
it is like weird. Like you can't do a cash register or something like that. Like it is.
yeah, but it's
weird.
once a year you do it.
Yeah,
you do
no,
it
I
for
mean
the
the
month
mall
of
doesn't
December.
help by like setting it all up and making it so that they need to find some random old dude to have kids sit
Yeah.
on his lap. Like
I think-
who
I
needs
think-
a mall Santa? We don't need it.
I think for the most part, it's just like a
I just think it's a
wholesome
weird
gig that
thing.
old guys like to do.
Yeah.
Right. I think I'd say 90% of it's like harmless. But I'll
Yeah,
tell you this,
I'd
there
say-
are
I'd
some
say,
one
yeah.
or two guys
Yeah,
that are
definitely
fucking
some
weird
sick
about
bucks,
it
yeah.
for sure. Or some of them are grumpy. It's like, why are you even here, bro?
Yeah,
I needed the cash, and he's got a
Find
he's
another
got a
profession.
flask of whiskey behind him, right?
Yeah.
Because he needed the money for the holidays or some
Yeah.
shit, right? I don't know, but you keep thinking about that, Devin. You let us know what you come up with.
I will.
Yeah, go like, subscribe to the channel. Until next time, I'm Davey on everything.
I'm Roan.
I'm Devin.
Thanks for watching, guys.
Ciao for now.
Big G's, no design on my jacket. Work hard, now I'm changing my bracket. Talk tough, we ain't hear that racket. Guys came in, you know how to stack it. Don't take it wrong, but I'ma need my ends though. I got tigers on my chest like Kenzo. Rail came, yeah, he putting that Benz though. Carol's here, man, you know he stay 10 toes. Big dog, man, you know I ain't worried. Bent up, so I'm talking real slurry. Got a blast, bro, I'm always in a hurry. Big Drake, shooting dirty like Curry. Take a yerky, yeah, you know he stay passed up. You don't catch him late night, do you ass up? No, Unc real, how to put it E-class up. They like, X nigga, how you take the fast ride? 2018, it was me and Big